So my explanation video being what it is, I mean, I'm not going to do another take, but hopefully I'll do everything right this time. I didn't say that I was trying to clear all 5 normal stages like this, but at this point, I'm just going to go around and see on every stage whether I can survive or not. Also, I have to remember to keep moving immediately, otherwise I kind of end up dying. So, a lot of this run, I mean, you want to say it's luck, but if I do if this becomes a bit more feasible, we'll see if I change anything, because yes, I just have to get lucky on each stage. But if I decide to do something like, say, I'm going to take Fire 1, by the way. If I decide to do something like clear all 5 stages in a row, then is what I tried to do on stream, and you can see how that went. Yeah, it's going to be less RNG, but you'll need a more consistent strategy is what I'm trying to say. But as for this, what I'm doing right now, I mean, I'll probably just try to keep track. Maybe I'll put something in the description to kind of note my own progress. Oh my goodness gracious. And we'll see where I go with this, because it's going to be a test run as I'm testing things out here and there. I would stream a lot more, but that's not quite... I'm testing things out, again, is what I'm trying to say. So... for anyone curious, if for some reason this video is one of the first things you've been exposed to in terms of me doing this, yeah, I've tried to get past minute 12 or 13, so clearing the stage is a far gone goal over yonder, and it kind of makes sense. After 12 to minutes 11 and 12 are the first true test of your DPS or defensive capabilities, but usually you're trying to clear out the screen because otherwise you won't be able to get stronger. But later on, when wolfmen start coming onto the screen, I didn't know how I wanted to phrase that, and that's why I said that a bit weird. But basically when you get a lot of werewolves, the brown ads, because they're so chunky and tanky, then you need even just a few evolutions, and I kind of tested it out that without golden eggs, of course, but I used like arcanas and gave myself upgrades. When I was doing test runs of it, I needed like 2 or 3 to feel comfortable killing them. So without any upgrades, I mean, it's not too much, but when they all add up, you know, the speed, the amount, the 15% might from the upgrades, I believe. When all of those add up, that are some of them indirect, but they're still increases in DPS. It gets to be you're at equal level with your cursed level, which is normally 50%, but you can increase or decrease that depending on character, items, weapon pickups, build, things like that. But if we're looking at 50% in general, then yeah, even having a couple of evolutioned weapons is not enough. Some of them are enough. I mean, they're pretty. There are a few evolutions that are pretty good in terms of damage, but they all have their place. And in this specific challenge, having lifesteal would in fact help out because I don't have any innate regen. So if I end up dying here, I end up dying here. Now, I also tried out things like enabling 1 Arcana. It did work. I did live longer. Obviously with some of them being awake, but with other arcanas you can also survive for a lot longer. I did not clear any of those either, so maybe I'm being a bit too harsh on myself, but hey, this is my version of fun, and at least trying to improve, or both. But again, I'm having fun with it at a minimum, and that's the important part, right? Of course, I am trying to do things seriously here, so trying to learn, trying to listen to advice as you know, I've looked around here and there, read some things, and yeah, what I've concluded is it's still hard, but knowing tricks here and there does still help. I should probably be also be using the environment to my advantage, but it's a bit too late now, and I haven't gotten... you really want to optimize the phases that have a lot of squishies and a lot of enemies. Technically, these skeletons are squishy. They're less so... without any upgrades and whatnot, but I mean, I have to do what I can. So what I mean by environment is that this specific set of pillars and trees allows the Rune Tracer to jump around, so being able to optimize Rune Tracer, if I'm Antonio, being able to whip turn, whip trick, meaning that when you have 2 whip attacks, I've already talked about it on stream, but I can talk about it really briefly here, as these ghosts will probably be the end of me because of how fast they are. But being able to turn around and get both the whip attacks in the same direction I want them to, being able to, as I die right here, being able to do Shadow Pinion, because Shadow Pinion is a huge early game increase of DPS, if you are fortunate enough to be able to get Shadow Pinion, because again, since I'm not using that character, or I cannot use that character in this challenge, yeah, I have to hope that it drops, which means you will be seeing Shadow Pinion if I see it in the screen, because being able to evolve it means I also get wings, which helps me out on faster enemies due to curse. I also shouldn't be here. I'm using Antonio now. I don't have Rune Tracer, so... But we'll see if I get Rune Tracer. Oh my goodness. I also need to... Small little things in general, being able to optimize damage while not getting hit. Again, because I only have so many mistakes. You could or could not use HP as a resource to try to get experience, but overall I don't want to be taking damage at all, if at all possible. But speaking of Shadow Pinion... So yeah, Shadow Pinion, I've talked about it before, but in an official video, I might as well say it, or in video form, I should say it. So I understand Shadow Pinion is not the strongest thing. It might not have as, or its DPS compared to things like King Bible, Labora, might be a lot less than I'd expect. But still, being able to cleave through everything in this specific challenge that I'm doing for myself is a lot more damage than, say, relying on Labora or King Bible, which are not as reliable early game, but are amazing evolutions, I think. But if anyone has any, ideas as how to do this challenge in particular, I mean, I'm open to the idea. Neither of those I really liked. I really should have taken Gatiamari, but I didn't, so I've already taken Garlic, and I've made my decision. Garlic is not really gonna help me here. It might put out some DPS, but really it's not going to be as great, especially on Curse runs where if I'm not at level with Curse, Garlic is not as amazing. And even then, even when I have upgrades and Arcanas turned on, which was one of my tests, yeah, Garlic didn't really do as much, including its evolution. Its Soul Drain, quote-unquote, is nice, but it's not really... even then, the lifesteal isn't that. It's still lifesteal. I would appreciate it if I could evolve it, but it's not... you want something else. Garlic is a supplement to some other weapon, usually not the other way around. I'm not saying that, it's... And there are people who put up video, not the normal ones, but people who may defend Garlic going like, oh, see, it works amazing here. It's like, well, yeah, you have every single upgrade and tens of thousands of eggs. Like, what... I'm talking about this specific challenge, so please. And of course, I'd be glad to... I'm sure some veteran will be able to, get Garlic to work on this challenge. Me, however, it's not consistent, I'll say that much, for me, personally, at a bare minimum. So... but Whip, on the other hand, is a bit more reliable. Granted, I need to make the most of it. And as I was saying for Shadow Pinion, the biggest one is not being able to AFK, but obviously in this challenge you're not AFKing anyway. You're not doing a no-move 50% curse only, unless you want to break the rules and, say, with golden eggs, well, yeah, with golden eggs you can do it. So, I mean, come on. Be reasonable when you're trying to not find a loophole. Again, I'm not saying it's impossible, I'm just saying you make it a lot harder on yourself if you're not trying to, no upgrades, but I have golden eggs, or saying something like that. But again, and not trying to put people who do no move challenges down. Those are, the amount of work that goes into making those work is respectful. Respectful? What am I trying to say? Is respectable, sorry. I'm trying to focus on not getting killed by these skeletons here, because they do a lot of damage. Actually, I need... no, I'm taking Rune Tracer. We're going to see how good or badly this goes. Rune Tracer helps out trying to... When I'm freezing rows of enemies, that way I can sneak through. But at the same time, dealing damage at all, so that's... not what I want to say. Well, Song of Mana is pretty good as well, early game for me, and it provides some CC, but I haven't tested it out on this challenge specifically. It works well on an upgrade run for me personally, but and Arcanas as well. But again, at that point, if you're using Arcanas and upgrades at a minimum, you might as well be using things like Labora, King Bible, any other okay weapon, or pretty much every weapon. That's not to say. I don't think there are any bad weapons in this game. It's just when you compare them relatively, some perform better than others in terms of AFK, in terms of just raw damage output. But it depends on what you want, right? But if you're looking at each weapon by itself, they are all serviceable at minimum. And, a lot of them are actually pretty good. So, if not all of them. So here, I mean, I know I'm focusing on Shadow Pinion, so that's why I'm not really focusing as much on Whip. But Whip already has at least two attacks, so I don't have to focus on trying to turn around. But again, the main reason why I like Whip Shadow Pinion on this challenge so much is because you get infinite penetration. You get infinite. It goes through every enemy. It doesn't just fizzle out once it hits something. That said, we're taking Empty Tome. It's just a very good. This is very good, which means something won't be getting upgraded. But I'll sacrifice Garlic most likely, because I already have Whip being available to evolve. But again, as we move to a more sparse wave, we'll see how well it works out for me. I'm just going to walk through these plants. The plants and the bats that zoom at you are pretty... I would rather take damage from those than anything else. I probably should just pick this up right now, all things considered. That's the thing I wanted the least. In fact, Empty Tome would have been a lot better than that, but I don't get to choose. So here I am. Oh, I hit my mouse on the keyboard. I think at this point, if I die, this is going to be the end of the video. Hey, Aduya Frita. I really shouldn't have picked that up, actually. If I picked the... I mean, I already picked it up, so I might as well use it to get a chest. But other than that, I mean, these Mudmen drop green... can drop green experience, so I might as well. But I probably wanted to save that for minute 11 instead. But it's too late now. Wow, my... Not having a high attract kind of hurts as well. When you have a lot of upgrades or eggs, sometimes, well, now with the patches that allow you to AFK pretty much leveling up as well, then attract orb is, or getting your attract stat up isn't harmful really as much anymore. So, I mean that was kind of weird, because you don't want a stat that people don't want. So I guess that's why we have both Limit Break and automatic level ups. Because even without Limit Break, you can choose to just automatically pick Gold Bag or Chicken. But it's been a while since I did that, because I usually enable Limit Break anyway. Not really as much reason to... well, I mean, I could be farming eggs no matter what, but I have things to do in real life. So that's not to say people who do it are, you know, wasting time. That's just saying I don't have the time to leave my stuff on and farm gold in the background, which I can do. I have, like, I think... I mean, 1,000 eggs is already enough to do a good farm on either Bone Zone if you want the, you know, the 1 to a couple million or more, depending on how much gold eggs you have. But oh, that was a while before I fired a Shadow Pinion. But or doing a Capella Magna infinite gold runs, because you can do that. So it just depends on how many eggs you have. I mean, even just a few hundred helps out, but once you start getting to the thousands, and of course the amount of gold you get rises from there until you hit soft caps. I can't remember if Greed has a soft and or hard cap. I'm pretty sure it has a soft cap. If not, then again, the whole point is that the amount of eggs you have will drastically increase the amount of gold you can get, because then you just put that gold back into whoever's farming eggs for you, and so on and so forth. But at that point, usually even people... I'd say the most people stop at around a few hundred or 1,000 or a few thousand. But if you really love Vampire Survivors, you have like tens or hundreds of thousands of eggs, and the game turns into, at a certain point, usually around a couple thousand, or what was it? There's some number where you've hit a pretty much, not stagnant point, but it pretty much, you've reached the amount that you would need at any time, comparatively, unless you just want to try to reach towards even more soft and or hard caps. Not that they're, again, there are not really a lot of hard caps. I think there's some for amount and revives, but after that, you know, that's when usually people are satisfied. But it really depends. It's your own personal goal. Vampire Survivors is pretty open-ended in terms of where you find the fun in. Me, it's this challenge that I try to fun at. It's only been 8 minutes. Oh my goodness. So here, Clock Lancet would have been absolutely helpful to avoid losing HP, because it would freeze a row of these undead spawning in, and I could just walk past without taking damage. But all I have is Shadow Pinion and Rune... I think I sacrificed Clock Lancet for Rune Tracer, so... Or something else. I could have not taken something else for Clock Lancet, but here I am. Well, I think all these runs that I've done so far, I've never been able to evolve Whip. So if I could evolve it, I'd get actual practical experience as to how effective Whip will be in this particular challenge. But that's assuming I get Whip to level 9, and that's assuming I pick up a chest if one of these bats die, which they will. Shadow Pinion, Song of Mana, Rune Tracer, Whip is pretty much... I'm pretty much near where I want to be in terms of my build, but when I get Om Nom Nom because that plant has collision, there's not much else I can do. So, just to recap, as the end screen will probably be put up here. Yeah, that's not too great. Garlic again putting out pretty poor numbers. Axe as well, technically, because Death Spiral, good as it is, Axe on this particular challenge early game, probably want to switch that out, but. Aside from Axe and Garlic, again, I did pretty okay, I think, in my opinion. But obviously, the goal is to win the run. So, faster Whip, faster Shadow Pinion. But aside from me getting stuck, there's also movement. Movement is by far the most important thing in this challenge. So someone with more optimized movement could probably make this work at least longer than 15 minutes. That's for sure. But until then, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll tune in next time.